Welcome to episode 4 of the Route 66 Fix, and man, has a lot happened. The Kansas City Chiefs were crowned your Super Bowl champions. I'm fired up. College basketball, good weekend for the boys. Both going 2-1 to start off the little play that we got going here. We got PGA to discuss, and of course, as always, some NBA. Lots of fun stuff to talk about ahead of the podcast. We're hitting the Oklahoma State KU game tonight, and we, of course, have a special interview with Shaun Schoolfield. And for those of you who don't know, that is Cole's cousin. However, that won't stop me from, attacking him, as we have had a lot of back and forth on Facebook, and he is a much requested person to come on the pod. I did claim that I loved him on a recent post, so maybe the beef did clear, but we'll definitely dive into his brain and get some of his thoughts on the Super Bowl. But Cole, how we feeling after a crazy weekend of sports and a lot of action?
Yeah, hey, I'm feeling great. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Obviously, we wanted to get this episode out, as quickly as possible. You covered mostly everything. Both of us were 2-1 on our picks, and I think we were within just a few points. I know TCU blew the lead late against Baylor, and then I think your Auburn spread was close as well. Obviously. Yeah. You also made that prediction before the spread came out. So
yeah.
Anyway, I would say that's pretty dang good. I was happy with it. And, another exciting week. We got the game tonight in Stillwater, Oak State hosting Kansas, number 5 team in the country, on a 5-game win, and Oklahoma State's on a 5-game win streak. It's going to be a packed house up in Stillwater. So anyway, excited to check that one out. Obviously the Super Bowl recap, PGA, everything like you mentioned. So anyway, lots to cover, but let's get to it.
Yeah, lots to cover. And before we dive in too deep, obviously you're going to post this one tonight, but probably won't get another episode out, maybe in a crazy case, Friday, maybe Saturday, but I'm going to be down in Florida, of course, for the next 3 days. A little vacation time, good time for cocktails with the gal and maybe a nice dinner or so. But yeah, let's just dive right into the Super Bowl. I'll just break down my thoughts, and then you can just chime in here. But I thought it was definitely one of the best Super Bowls we've gotten in quite some time. Just the back and forth, the high scoring, just elite play from both sides of the ball offensively. I thought personally Jalen Hurts was maybe the best player on the field that night. I mean, he was putting the ball in places where I haven't seen him do that. Of course, he's been making plays in the regular season, but he was putting the ball into some tight spaces and just making throws all over. But yeah, it was a great game overall. Obviously, the Chiefs came back. They were down 10 at half, really started rallying, scored on all 4 possessions. Pat Mahomes did what Pat Mahomes does, and he came out there and won. Now, obviously, 2 things I want to point out. I'm going to start with Coach Reed. I thought he just did a phenomenal job. I mean, the last 2 touchdowns were literally the same play. We had Tony come in motion across the line, and then we just sent him right back out. And the Eagles defense just didn't adjust at all. And then we did the exact same thing with Sky Moore in the next possession, had him in motion, and then just sent him in and out. Both 2 just wide open passes. So Coach Reed, obviously just offensive genius there. And then obviously the second thing I want to talk about is the penalty that happened there on 3rd down. That was obviously the controversial topic after the game. Me being a Chiefs fan, trying to argue that at the end of the day, I'm always a big believer, and you can't ever blame a game on the refs, and definitely not this game. If you truly want to win that football game, how about you just try stopping the Chiefs from scoring? It's really that simple. Not to mention, take advantage of the missed field goal, go back down and score, get another point on the board. Jalen Hurts had a bad fumble that led to a defensive touchdown. There's a lot of bigger factors in games, and I truly do believe the call, it wasn't blatantly terrible. There's a lot of different angles coming out now, and you can clearly see that it did slow Juju down. Perhaps if he doesn't even hold him there at all, I truly think Pat throws to Juju and you have a wide open touchdown. So it was a weak call. I'm gonna say that it was a weak call. Probably shouldn't have been called, but was it the wrong call? I don't know if you can go out on a limb and necessarily say that. A lot of action there, but there's a lot of action in that game. So
yeah. No, I think you nailed it. I think that as far as the penalty goes, obviously post game and everything, that was kind of the number one topic, social media wise, and media outlets immediately jumped into that. I think it says a lot that the player himself came out and said that he held him. Like you said, I think you explained it really well, but it's not like it was the wrong call, but in that situation, it's a really tough call to make because it's so, and there's a lot of debate on if it affected the play or not. But at the end of the day, I mean, he did grab his jersey, whether it was for a half second or 3 seconds, it happened, and he called it. So it really, really tough call in the situation. But I think, they were Kansas City was going to score a field goal no matter what. They were already, in the red zone. They were going to get a field goal. The only thing, the Eagles might have had, I think they had one timeout left at the time of that call. So, they might have had around a minute, give or take, depending on, actually when Kansas City kicked it, to go try to, tie the game. So, which is still really tough to do. I mean,
yes.
There's, especially, Jalen Hurts played incredible. Fully agree with what you said about him being, potentially the best player on the field. But, with a minute left, I don't know if you can go get into a field goal with one timeout. You are. So anyway, I think you did a good job there. Fully agree. But it, really interesting to see how that unfolded. But what it came down to is the Eagles, the Chiefs scored on every play in second half, or every drive of the second half. Excuse me. So that's that was the game changer. That's what that's how they won. And I think our Instagram got this posted, but on one of the captions I noticed. But I'm pretty sure yourself and I both sat here and predicted that. How are you going to stop the Chiefs? When it comes down to it, their last drive of the game, you can't do it. That's why we projected them to win the Super Bowl before the playoffs started. We said it all the way through. A lot of people did. But anyway, that's at the end of the day, they were too dominant on offense. I know I'm throwing a lot here. Heard a really cool stat this morning. So another shout out to Mr. Coward. But the Chiefs played more rookies this year. Rookies played for the Chiefs more snaps this year than every team except the Bears, Texans, and I'm forgetting the third team right now. But there was a third team. Seahawks. Was it okay. It was Seahawks because they had so many draft picks because of the Wilson trade. And then the Chiefs were, I think they were actually tied with the Seahawks. So they have all these rookies that were playing snaps. And it's just incredible to see what they did. So.
Yeah, no, obviously as a Chiefs fan, I'm fired up. And, you mentioned our Instagram the other night. I think I might still be feeling a little tired after Sunday night as I was, I believe, taking on the whole bar. Just pretty much anyone who wanted to get lippy, they had one coming right back at them. So, but no, I'm pumped as a Chiefs fan. Obviously for Pat to get number 2, obviously getting another one's just going to get harder and harder. The expectation is crazy, but I feel like, he got one, then he lost one, then they lost in the AFC Championship. So now everyone was kind of coming out and they could have been like, uh-oh, is he going to be the guy that, starts losing these big games? He's getting there, but him winning that second one, I think is just massive for his career. And I'm just, like you said, I didn't even know that stat about all the rookies. Obviously, what was the key to Brady's career? He was able to play with kind of 3 different groups of players, right? Like he started with his early days. He really, what do you have? Deion Branch. I can't even tell you maybe another receiver on that. He had Corey Dillon running the football, who's a monster, and then their defense was good.
Yeah.
And then that second wave, that's when you had Wes Welker. They didn't win, but Randy Moss, like a good group of guys. And obviously Gronk came in. Then later on, Edelman came in. So he just had those different groups of guys. And now we're going to see Tyreek's gone. Kelsey's probably got 3 more years. So ideally looking in the future, if we could get one more with Travis, we're going to be looking for that next group of players to step up. And I kind of like the group of guys that we have. But obviously the steal of the draft was Pacheco. I mean, dude, he is a monster and he runs harder than anyone in the league. And every time he touches the ball, it's like he's running to, if he doesn't get 5 yards and can't stop moving his feet, it's like he's going to save his family.
Yeah.
The way he runs. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. No, it's really impressive. So hats off to them. All congrats. I mean, Pat played, obviously they kept him off the field in the first half, but so his stats weren't, absolutely crazy. But in my opinion, he did everything he needed to do. A lot of guys this morning, yesterday too, were talking that the run, his 25-yard run, multiple people say that it was the best play of his career, just because it kept him in the game, and doing it on the hurt foot, ankle. And, they showed it, and I didn't realize it at the time, but, looking back, he was outrunning linebacker. Not only did he get past the line, but to get downfield 25 yards, he was pulling away from linebackers. And then, until he got to the secondary, the backs came up and stopped him, and then that's when he went down. But anyway, huge play, very clutch. And like you said, that's just going to kind of solidifies his legacy. And any talk about him not winning the big games, he's 2 for 3 now. And, he's well on his way to being one of the best of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So.
No, it's awesome to watch. I mean, obviously 2 Super Bowls for anyone's huge. I mean, Eli Manning, that made his career.
Right.
I mean, outside of that, didn't do a whole lot, but those 2 Super Bowls, any Super Bowl just makes your career. So fired up. I feel like we'll probably touch on the halftime performance with Shaun. He's a big, music scene guy, likes to stay up with the culture of those kind of things. So we'll probably discuss that later. But I feel like the other thing we gotta hop on real quick is the grass. That's kind of been a huge storyline. So, and you can correct me if you know more about it than I do, but they pretty much were testing this grass out of Oklahoma State. And apparently players they were obviously just slipping all over the field and said it wasn't very good. Obviously it hurt both sides, but, what's the move there for a Super Bowl game?
Yeah. So I actually did some research on this because I was super curious as well. But anyway, Oklahoma State released a statement. If you give me just a second, I'll pull it up. Which it kind of makes sense. Let me pull it up here. It's loading.
Yeah, because we got to support the Oklahoma State best we can. So
right here we go. So this is from maybe another link is loading here. Well, I'm not having any luck finding it, but so don't quote me word for word. Basically, the way it is the grass that was used, the way it's grown was patented by University of Oklahoma State. They developed, I guess, how it was grown and the blend, if you will, of the type of grass that it is. And then it's used for, they listed everyone that uses it. And I guess it's won some awards even. They said the issue was in their statement, they said they had nothing to do with this, is the grounds crew for the Super Bowl was overseeding it with ryegrass. And I guess with any type of moisture or heat, ryegrass becomes extremely slippery. So Oklahoma State was saying they do not, on the fields and everything that they manage, they don't use any type of ryegrass for overseeding for that reason, especially in warmer conditions, because it will get moisture and be slippery. So anyway, they were basically the specific grass is a patent design, I guess, used or created by Oklahoma State. And anyway, so they were kind of critical of using the ryegrass for the overseeding purposes, which makes it look greener and things like that. But as far as quality and performance goes, they were kind of recommending against that, I guess. But I'll try to find the actual statement and maybe throw it up on our Instagram page here in a bit. So
no, that's good. That's good information for sure. Maybe have some people who know what they're doing in charge of that. But
yeah,
I understand the NFL wants everything to look pretty and stuff, but it sounds like it's not protecting the players much. So
yeah, for sure.
Was there any other thoughts? I know we'll be talking some Super Bowl with Shaun as well, kind of get his thoughts. But is there anything else that we missed that we need to touch on?
I don't think so. I really don't at this time. I think we talked about it prior and covered kind of the highlights. So anyway, I thought it was great. I mean, great game. I'm just glad it was close and competitive. I think it was all around a great game. So
yeah, that was awesome, and hopefully we can just keep the train rolling. But anyway, I say we go ahead. Maybe touch on. Go ahead.
One more thing, Cowboys should be rolling into town next year. So early prediction: Cowboys Chiefs Super Bowl. So you heard it here first.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, dead serious.
What makes you think the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl?
Micah Parsons, man. He's going to rally these guys. We got a couple draft picks coming up, and new offense coordinator, letting McCarthy really, he's been there before. So getting Kellen Moore out, I like Kellen Moore. I think he's a good mind. But anyway, with McCarthy calling plays, another year of experience for Dak. There's just a lot of things moving in the right direction. So
I'm going to disagree heavily, but you make your prediction. I'm going to make mine. I don't even think they make the playoffs next year. I think the Eagles win the division again, and I have no faith in the Cowboys. So unless you have a rebuttal to that, that's just no.
We can leave it there. We can leave it right there.
Okay. Well, after that nonsense, let's go ahead and just dive on into some college basketball. Big weekend for us. Obviously, before we even knew any spreads, we made our picks, and I was 2-1 as Mizzou. Just an epic game against Tennessee. I was able to had a busy day, went out on the golf course. It was Saturday, got to enjoy the sun, but was able to catch the second half of that game. It was kind of back and forth. Mizzou was leading, then Tennessee came back and took the lead, and then it kind of looked like Tennessee was going to close the game out with some free throws and, just seal the deal. And they go down, and they were in the double bonus. They missed the first one. It's 84-82 with 4.5 seconds. It's 84-82. He misses the first free throw. Second free throw, Tennessee gets a lane violation. So no time off the clock, 4.5 seconds left, and Golston from Mizzou drives down the court and from the volleyball line, just floater automatic for the win. I mean, it was electric. Absolutely mind-boggling that Mizzou didn't get into the top 25, but they're usually disrespected, so it doesn't shock me there. But did you happen to watch that game or anything?
I didn't. I wasn't. I was actually tuned into the OSU game at the time of it, so which that one was kind of going down the wire as well. Obviously, saw the replays and went back and watched what I could of it. So didn't see it live, but yes, I did see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. Obviously, we have another big week ahead. I think our schedule does lighten up, so really just need to finish strong, just to kind of get that get a good spot in the conference tournament to where we can kind of make a run for ourselves and get a good seed in the tournament. Because I do think, unless I'm not trying to jinx anything, but unless Mizzou were to lose out, I mean, I do think if they finish here pretty strong, and, don't do well in the tournament, I still think they're getting in. That's just my opinion for right now. But I'll just touch on my other two games. We had Auburn, Alabama. Was really shocked, which Auburn, they are a good team. They came in preseason ranked, but at Auburn, the spread was 2. So that was just a tough one for me. They ended up losing by 8. So just a tough cover, in which Mizzou has Auburn tonight. So that's a massive win if they can pull that off. And then last game was KU at OU. The spread on this, Cole, was 2.
That's ridiculous. Before we go any further, I'm looking at some live spreads, and OU's favorited against number 12 K-State tonight as well.
I don't understand that. OU is not good.
I know.
And they're at home, right?
Yeah, they're at home, but I don't want to throw you off track, but I just had to, because you're talking spread. So
no, we're on it. I don't get, because OU, I haven't been to a game, but I know you said yourself, since the Buddy Hield, Blake Griffin days, the atmosphere really isn't even that special.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get that, because KU's, obviously they kind of went through a little rough patch, but when I saw -2 on Saturday, I was like, oh, that's a lock. And what, they win by 24?
Yeah, I think it was 24.
So OU's favored against K-State tonight?
By 1.
I might go ahead and put 300 on it.
Might as well.
Kidding me?
Call yourself a rich man.
But that was my last spread that hit.
Yeah.
I honestly, Saturday, like I said, went and played some golf. So didn't have a whole lot of time to watch. I know you mentioned you watched the OSU game, and a little bit of maybe Indiana, but outside the Mizzou game, I really didn't get to see a whole lot. But
yeah. No, the really notable upset of the week was Stanford taking down Arizona by 9. Anyway, that was a big one. And Tech did beat K-State as well. And then Tech beat Texas last night too. So
right after we were asking questions about Texas.
Yeah. So Tech was, last in the Big 12, or they were tied with OU for last, and then they beat the top 2 teams in the league back to back. So anyway, that's kind of in there. But to cover mine real quick, I had Indiana over Michigan. Michigan was up, I think, with under a minute. They were up by 3 or 4. Indiana ended up pulling that one out at home, winning by 1. And then I had TCU at home. I had them money line over Baylor, which they were up under a minute to go, ended up losing by 4. So another great game, a fun game. And then I had Creighton over UConn, which went down to the wire as well. It was tied with a minute, and Creighton ended up winning that one by 3. They made a few free throws there late to pull out and win by 3. So anyway, it's an exciting weekend. The games we picked, ironically, I think were some of the, outside of the KU game, were some of the closest games of the weekend, some of the best games, if you will. So anyway, but yeah, as far as tonight, super confused on the OU spread. I just checked it again. It's still at 1. If you're a betting man, I would hammer Kansas State. They just lost to Tech. So unless there's an injury report that I'm unaware of, I would absolutely hammer Kansas State money line.
Yeah, no, that makes no sense to me.
And KU is 1.5 point and a half favorite over OSU, which obviously we're going to be hitting the road here shortly to check out that game.
I hope that's right. I hope that's right.
Yeah.
Because all I care for really is a good game. I'd love to see Oklahoma State obviously win, but KU is just tough.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to make any predictions on that one because being a hometown boy, I'd rather see Oak State win, but just give us a good game,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like we said, so me and Cole are both 2-1, but I think we're probably going to keep this up through probably the conference tournaments, and then we might do a little special deal for March Madness, and then, definitely. Then we'll have that transition to baseball, but we'll probably lock in a lot on NBA and some predictions in there as well. So, but no, I'm pumped for the game tonight. It's gonna be fiery. But any other college basketball talk you want to hit on?
No, I think the last thing we wanted to cover was the PGA recap. Obviously, Schauffele was my prediction. Didn't pull it out. Scheffler I mean, just remarkable. Consistency, and his ability to play in the lead. A lot of times guys, will lead a couple days and then they'll, in the last few holes or whatever, especially young guys, which I guess he's got quite a bit of experience on him now, but as from an age view, he is young. Anyway, I don't know. Hats off to him. It's insane to see the wins he's putting together. And if he has another year similar to last year, I mean, I'm just excited to see what he does. So,
no, I mean, he proved why he moved back into the world number one, I believe, after this tournament. But proved why he's number one all last year, taking over Rory. I picked Max Homa. He was playing really hot golf. He didn't have a bad weekend, just a kind of a slow Saturday, and just didn't really get anything going. But there was a point there, you're looking at the leaderboard early on Sunday, and you have Scheffler, you have Ricky Fowler back in the mix, you have Spieth in the mix. Like John Rahm had a good weekend. Like there's nothing like seeing those big names.
Yeah. I love seeing, those guys because, Thomas, Justin Thomas, Spieth, and Fowler, it's been 5 or 6 years ago, but they were kind of the young guns that were kind of coming up, being competitive there for a bit. So to see all of that, they all three, well, Spieth tied for sixth, Fowler, they're all top 10. Those three were. Obviously, Scheffler with the win. Trying to see if there's anyone else that stands out here. Rory ended up 4 under, and he tied for 32nd. So, and that's Homa was 3 under.
Yeah, so I think the guy to watch out for this year, and I mentioned him quite a bit, is Sanjay M.
Yes, dude. Yes,
he is always in the mix. If he got a couple of wins under his belt, I mean, his talent's insane. So is Tom Kim. Tom Kim's fun to watch. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that back and forth dialogue with his caddy. But it was just unbelievable. He pretty much, him and his caddy were back and forth. He's like, I don't know, you got into the wind here. I just go with a 5-iron and, just hit it pretty fair. Pulls it out, hits it. I mean, eagle putting from 3 feet. It was just ridiculous, that sequence. But
cool. I'm just pulling up some stats here while we're talking. And Sungjae M is 24 years old as well.
Yeah.
So young guy. He's so consistent, which is, it's just impressive. So anyway, looking forward to this weekend though. I mean, we got Tiger on the field. Yeah. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Looks like you got a $20 million purse on the line out there in California. So anyway, I think it's going to be a heck of a weekend. Very exciting. So.
No, I'm pumped. I mean, and that's the thing about Tiger now, which I kind of love, is obviously he's out there to win, but I think you could argue, like, the times he's gone out there to play, obviously he hasn't done his best, but I think he might be having a little more fun with the guys than he ever has on tour. He seems like he's pretty content where his life is and things like that. So he might have that little no pressure feeling when he's out there, and then, you just never know what can happen when Tiger Woods is on the course, and it just makes for an electric weekend.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm just saw this, so I clicked on it. But we got tee times, and anyway, we got Tiger, Rory, and Justin Thomas at 2:04 on.
Come on.
Yeah, I guess Thursday. I guess that'll be on Thursday. So.
Too bad. There's a good chance I'll be on the top of the Jurassic Park roller coaster at that point.
The group following them is Spieth, Scheffler, and Colin Morikawa. So that'll be both of those are televised groups. So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun weekend.
No, it will be. Another crazy thing I always like to point out is, like, on Sunday, you've got those guys kind of like Justin Thomas, who came in like 3 under, probably didn't have a shot of winning, but he went from where he was. His winnings were 350,000. And he ended up making, I think, 980 by the end of the tournament just from that run. So, I mean, that's just insane. Pretty much tripling your money.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But no, I'm pumped. PGA is rolling again. Gives me something to watch for sure on Sundays when the NFL's over. Gets me in the mood to work on my swing, get back into, those high 80s, low 70 range, or high 70s, low 80 range. Sorry, come on. Just get back to that good, consistent golf that I play. So
That's right.
But yeah, Tiger's back, and then probably need to dive a little bit on NBA. I know you were at the Thunder game last night. Kyrie and Luka 0-2 to start their little journey on the court together. Anyway, and then yeah, you were at the Thunder game last night. LeBron's ankles, I guess, a little puffy. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but I guess start off. I'd like to, now that you've seen, was that your first Thunder game this year?
In person, yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on some of the players? I know we were texting about Giddey last night. Maybe a little breakdown there.
Jalen Williams, great player.
Yes.
Honestly, unbelievable player. Isaiah
Potential.
Joe. Yeah, I mean, he's got a strap. He shoots the ball with, the arch he puts on his shot is similar to Steph. In my opinion.
It's quick.
The game, it was a 3-point game, and he got the last shot of the game. Looked like it wasn't going to have a chance, but literally, I think just because of the arch and the follow through he shoots with, literally, it almost went in out of the corner. Really tough shot. I thought it went in, to be honest. And anyway, really like him. Obviously, SGA. They weren't giving him any calls last night. They
don't like to.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say, but I think he a little bit floppy, a little bit. He tries to sell it maybe just a little bit, is what I'm trying to get at. But he goes through a lot of contact without calls. There were several plays that were, in my opinion, should have been, he should have been on the line. Anyway, but those three, Giddey, I know, and Dort, I got to say Dort too. He's just a great player to have on the court.
For sure.
I don't think he's ever going to do anything crazy, but he's kind of like the modern day Andre Roberson, if you will. He's just, which he's in my opinion, he's better because he can actually hit some shots. But which Ingram did have a 30 ball last night, but Dort was guarding him. There's almost a foot difference in height in those two.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was playing him tough. He always is guarding the best player on the floor, and he hustles, plays hard. So hats off to him, in my opinion. Giddey, 20 years old, or maybe 21 now, whatever he is. But I don't know. His shot is so bad. I don't know if it can be fixed. Outside anything, 17 feet and further, it's bad. And he's a good passer, and he is a good rebounder. And then he has the floater that he kind of does in the the middle of the paint area and from the side. He has good touch and stuff. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know. You can't. I don't know. You can't shoot a floater. Tony Parker kind of did it and stuff, but I don't know that he brings enough to be considered a guy that. To me, Jalen Williams is better than him. There's just no debate.
When Jalen Williams is attacking the basket, he's looking to score or make a play. Josh Giddey, sometimes when he attacks the basket, it's like he's not looking to score.
Yeah.
Or he'll pick up his dribble and look. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of special there. Like you said, you have to be able to shoot the ball a little bit this day and age in the NBA. If I was on the other side of the ball, I wouldn't give him that much thought.
Give him 3 steps. Just stay
like you said, great vision and great rebounder, but it's kind of like, okay, Ben Simmons is great vision and a great rebounder, but obviously Josh Giddey's not a drama queen like he is. But what's happened to Ben Simmons' career? He's kind of just declined because this day and age, you got to be able to shoot the basketball, and they know that.
Yeah, well, and teams are aware of that, and that's their game plan is to, just literally back off of him and let him not be able to do anything really. Now,
if he develops, and it's not like Giddey has like elite speed or anything, but if he's able to develop anything, like Luka doesn't have elite speed, but if he's able to develop anything remotely to a guy who can, drive, pull up jumper, drive, hit consistent floaters, get to the rim and finish, then he could be that. But I'm just not seeing any signs of that. Not a whole lot of improvement from last year. Like he is, he's young. Next year is probably the important year for him, but
I was thinking the same thing. Give him 1 or maybe 2 more years at most before you make that decision on him. But which is great that he's playing and getting this experience at that age. But I don't know. I don't know that you could salvage that shot. When I saw him shooting last night, I was like, I mean, that's bad.
It's broke. It's broke. I actually think I could probably put up a better shot out there, if I'm being honest.
Just got a live update from Mr. Schoolfield himself. He said he should be on in about 5 minutes or less. So
okay. So that gives us time to maybe just touch on Kyrie and Luka real quick. Obviously, Kyrie came back without Luka, and they won. They're 0-2 with him and Luka on the court. Ball games came down to the wire. Don't know if you saw. I think it was last night. They didn't even get a shot off. They were down 3 with the final seconds to go. Kyrie turns the ball over, and they just went back and forth, passing to each other. Quick thoughts on them two. Anything to worry about, or just a little learning curve?
I don't think it's anything to worry about yet. I mean, obviously, they're both playing. They were both playing, at a high level. So to come together and try to work through those things, it's going to take a little bit of time. But I don't think it's a major concern right now. But we'll see. Something to keep an eye on, I guess you could say. But they should be okay. I think that they need to communicate. That's going to be a very important piece to see who, like I said, is going to be the leader in that situation, and who's going to step up and go take the shot or drive and get fouled type of situation. But anyway, interested to see how it plays out. But I guess not good early. But I want to give them a couple more games and see how it goes. So.
Yep. No, I agree. Obviously, their talent is there, so I think they'll figure it out. But anyway, so we'll just kind of wrap up with that, and we'll move into our interview with Shaun Schoolfield.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you, but I can't get off here without commenting on LeBron.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right.
I think it's despicable, and I get it. He is a massive star. It's kind of part of his job, being at the Super Bowl and everything like that. But I just don't get how they literally are going to have to win. I mean, there's 25 games left for them. They're going to have to win 18 of those to get probably even a play-in game at this point. So I don't know. I'm just he's missed 3 games now since the scoring record was broke.
Yeah.
Injury, but there was reports of him out at the Super Bowl party, post game Super Bowl parties. Obviously looked fine at the Super Bowl and no boot or anything like that. So I don't know. My mindset is if you're there and you're claiming that you're this amazing champion, you probably shouldn't be last in the West when you have multiple superstars on your team, including yourself. But anyway, I don't know. That's just LeBron for you, I guess.
Yeah, I think he broke it down perfectly. I mean, he's at the Super Bowl, obviously celebrated at the club after he broke the record.
Yeah.
No excuse. I mean, you're in a position where you can still make the playoffs. And once you get there, you can still compete, in my mind. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not playing.
Mahomes would never.
Yeah, well, but even if you go to the Super Bowl and you go out and party, I mean, he has his own Gulfstream. It's an hour-and-a-half flight from Phoenix to Portland is where they played. I mean, he has every recovery option available in the world. Wake up at 9, 10 o'clock the next day, get a good breakfast, fly up, and get yourself, go do a shoot around and get ready to play.
Yeah.
In Portland. I mean, it's not that big a deal. I don't understand not playing. I'm not even, like I said, I don't care about you going to the Super Bowl and, doing extra things. I mean, everyone does. That's life. But you got to be able to go and play, especially when your team's about to miss the playoffs. So.
Nope, I 100% agree. Yeah, I think you covered that perfect.
Anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and prepare. I think he's about to dial in right now. So
yeah.
stay tuned.
Before we do that, I just want to let everyone know that this interview is advertised by the Governor's Quarters. So I don't know if anyone's familiar, but they do a lot of events there in Lebanon, Missouri, whether that be for baby showers, little special birthday parties that you want to throw, anything like that, they can do. Also do catering, phenomenal food. They do casseroles every Wednesday that you can pick up. Going to try a new one this week, it looks like. Broccoli cheddar chicken and noodle casserole. So that's a mouthful and delicious, as Amy Knight likes to put it. So, just advertising for the Governor's Quarters. And with that being said, I think we can move into the Shaun Schoolfield interview.
All right, everybody. We have a guest on. It's been highly requested, and it's my cousin, Shaun Schoolfield. He's here to join us and talk some sports and just kind of recap on the Super Bowl and go from there and see where it takes us. But anyway, Shaun, we just want to say thank you for joining, and we're looking forward to this. A lot of people have been asking when you're going to be on. Obviously, there's been some back and forth between some certain people on social media and yourself. So anyway, it's always fun to get competitive and everything like that. So anyway, again, thank you for joining, and we'll just get right to it. So just wanted to get your thoughts on the Super Bowl in itself, and what you thought of the outcome, and if there was anything that stood out to you really at all from either team.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's obviously great to be here. Great to talk sports with you guys. First things first, Jordan, congratulations, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I know what it's like to watch my team win a championship, and for all the banter between you and I, it's all in good fun. But congratulations, and to all Chiefs fans out there, that's a big deal. Definitely one of the best dynasties I've ever witnessed in any sport. And you're not done yet. I think it'll be a couple more down the road.
I appreciate it.
As far as the Super Bowl went, I mean, I think it kind of started. Both teams went down on the opening possession and came away with a touchdown. And it kind of just proved that this might be a little bit of a high scoring game, which it turned out to be. And going into halftime, I was kind of thinking, this is looking like Philadelphia may find a way to run away. Mahomes had, gimped off at halftime. His status was a little bit up in the air going into it. So, but in that second half, Kansas City did what they've done all year and just come out swinging, and they didn't give up. They are easily this Chiefs team was definitely one of the best second half teams all season. I mean, very seldomly did they kind of lose control late in the game or anything. Second half they came out swinging. But one thing that really stood out to me was a big play that happened in the first half, which was the Nick Bolton scoop and score. If you look at that, going into it, Butker had missed the field goal, and there was it kind of swayed momentum for a bit, and then Bolton with the pressure on Hurts, and Hurts has done a really good job all year at hanging on to the ball. He doesn't lose the ball very often, and he just that pressure from Bolton, he just dropped it, and Bolton took it all the way to the house. In my opinion, he should have had a second scoop and score. I know it was one of those 50-50 calls, but it looked like that was a clean fumble to me, and Sanders had possession. It should have been a second one. But if that scoop and score doesn't happen, Kansas City may not pull that one out. I mean, that was such an amazing play. And Nick Bolton was all over the place all night. He made, I believe it was 9 tackles in the Super Bowl. He had a couple pressures, and then, the recovery, the fumble recovery touchdown. He just was all over the place last, Sunday night. And he just, to me, I know Mahomes won the Super Bowl MVP, and when you look at the stat line, you kind of understand why. But to me, Nick Bolton's not on that field. A lot of things could have potentially went differently. Nick Bolton, in my opinion, should have been the Super Bowl MVP. He just really stood out to me from start to finish. There was nobody that they didn't really have an answer for it. And the O-line, we know that the O-line's been talked about a bunch because, that Eagles team, what were they, I believe, third in the league in sacks, and then no sacks Mahomes only took a couple of hits all night. It was just a really well-rounded effort by both sides, but especially Kansas City to just be able to pull it out against a really solid team. A game in which I picked Philadelphia, but I said it could go either way. It really could, and it did. And McKinnon not taking that one in was such a heads-up play on his part as well. He could have very easily taken that in and been able to tell his grandkids, yeah, I scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. But he was like, I'll just go down here at the one and we'll kneel it down, give Harrison a shot to knock it through, which he did. So just a really well played game by both sides. Both teams have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of at all. Because, Philadelphia coming into the year, a lot of people didn't even think I know they picked up A.J. Brown right before the draft and everything. And a lot of people were saying they'd still be a wild card team. They were still a long ways away. And they went out and proved a lot of people wrong, had a top tier defense, made a lot of good trades during the season. Just a really good season for Philadelphia as well. But, at the end of the day, only one can win. Kansas City won, and it was a very well played game. I didn't think that there was officiating wise. I don't think that the officials gave this to Kansas City, and I don't think they took it from Philadelphia. I think there was a bunch of stuff that was called that probably shouldn't have been on both sides, and then a lot of things that were let go that probably shouldn't have been on both sides. It was a very fairly called contest, and that was all you could ask for from the most important game of the year.
Yeah. Well, and no game is going to be perfect. So you hit it right on the nose, but the fact that it was fair. There's not an argument that it was one way or the other. The officials aren't going to be perfect, just like the players aren't. So I think keeping it fair, both ways was important, and I fully agree with that. Jordan, do you have any? I'm blown away. That was an incredible breakdown. Jordan, if you want to try to respond to that.
No, because we kind of did our breakdown before as well, but no, you hit on everything, and something we didn't touch on was that McKinnon, him sliding down there at the end. That was massive. And to have that confidence in Butker, who I thought I might have jinxed, from my Facebook post there, came in, had a big kick. But another thing I pointed out earlier is Coach Reed. Obviously, he went in at halftime and made the right adjustments. We came out and scored 4 for 4. And then the motion, on those 2 touchdowns, the Eagles weren't even doing anything to stop those. And we had guys wide open. But yeah, I just want to get something you didn't really touch on, but it seems like social media is really stirred up about is the holding call on Juju. What are your thoughts on that one? We kind of discussed it. But yeah, I kind of like to get your thoughts on that play call. And if you think, that's the reason, of course, they lost the Super Bowl, which a lot of big time Chiefs haters are saying, but just want to know your honest thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good call. I kind of understand what Bradbury was saying, though. He said, that's a call that play happens a lot, and it doesn't get a flag thrown probably more times than not. But I think it was a good call. He even said it was a good call. I don't think that handed Kansas City the Super Bowl because it would have been 4th and long. Most likely they wouldn't. I don't think the Chiefs would have went for it there. They probably would have taken their points and trusted the defense. So they. I think that it could have potentially. Do I think it could have potentially changed the outcome of the game? Sure, but that's only because anything's possible. I think it was the proper call. When I watched it, when they slowed it down and zoomed in, when I watched it, I thought that it was a good call. So and I love to hate on the Chiefs as much as the next guy, but at the end of the day, you got to give them the props that they deserve. They did. That they played just a solid game. That one call did not drastically change anything, in my opinion. I think that it was a good call, and especially when he admitted himself that he did indeed hold. I just don't feel like you have any. I don't think anybody can justify saying anything different.
Yeah, that's what I said too. Once he came out and said himself, I held him. You could argue that yes, it does get. They do let it go a lot, but there's pictures of it. When you slow down the film, he himself said that he held him. So not a lot of debate. It kind of puts that to rest, if you will. So anyway,
And I've got one thing to point out. So I know that you mentioned that you do like to hate on the Chiefs. You know, obviously we've had our back and forth banter on Facebook if anyone ever wants to go check that out. But I do just have one question, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And I'm wondering if you can just explain this one for me. Are you able to see my screen here?
So, okay.
Yeah.
So it was last season. I believe the Cowboys were playing the Chiefs, and I got a lot of friends and family that are Cowboys fans, a lot of friends and family that are Chiefs fans. And I said, you know, I would buy a jersey of whoever the winner of that game was, and I would wear it during the Packers bye week from last season. So, you know, and I had a lot of people like, oh, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're scared. I'm like, oh, sure, I will. So I had already picked out I was going to buy a Dak Prescott jersey, had the Cowboys won, and a Mahomes jersey, the Chiefs won. The Chiefs ended up not even being close. I believe Kansas City ran away with it. And so I just kind of, before the game was even over, I ordered the Mahomes jersey, and it came in, and I believe the Chiefs were playing Sunday Night Football against the Broncos that night, and I wore it. I was not, as you can tell, red's not my best color. I know I'm wearing it right now. That's only because it's school colors. But no, I've sent the jersey has been given away to a good friend of mine because he wanted it, and he was like, "When are you ever going to wear it again?" I said, "Literally never." So it just hung in my closet. So I gave it to him. This was probably a couple months ago, and he actually wore it last night. Sent me a picture wearing it. But yeah, no, that was a fun time. You know, just razzing some people.
I love that you added in there that it was a Packers bye week as well.
It was. I'm not going to wear that during a pack. No. When the Packers play, even this year, with their struggles, I was decked out in my Packers gear, week in, week out. Rodgers jersey, David Bakhtiari. I got a Reggie White throwback jersey that I love to wear. I wore it Super Bowl Sunday because Reggie White spent 8 seasons with the Eagles, so I just felt like that'd be a good little story to tell. But yeah, no, you won't catch me in anything other than Packer green and gold most of the time.
That's awesome.
I think I saw that one on someone comment on Facebook. I was like, I sent that to Cole. I was like, if we get him on, I've got to be able to share my screen with that one because that's funny. But
yeah,
no, I figured it was a bet. I mean,
yeah,
no reason that you can chirp the Chiefs that much and then
right.
of course wear that. But no, we've had our back and forth banter, but no, it's all fun. It's all fun.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I do want to point out, I think a lot of the times is, you know, when the Chiefs are playing in the playoffs, I tend to have a few drinks at the bar. So afterwards, I'm usually pretty fired up. I do have to point that out, but no, it's all fun and games.
Absolutely.
Do you, Shaun, do you want to give us a quick breakdown on Packers? I haven't really, since Aaron Rodgers was taking his few days to make his decision on his future, I haven't really thought if you want to kind of give us your predictions or your thoughts on the upcoming season and Rodgers specifically, his future.
Yeah, as much of a Aaron Rodgers fan as I am, anybody who knows me knows that I often say he's one of possibly even the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I don't think there's many people that would disagree with that, but you know, there's obviously the haters. But he, you know, one thing I've always said, he's kind of a nutcase, and I think he's voluntarily going into solitary confinement. So I feel like that's just proof of that. But no, I think that, you know, the season was, we knew there was a lot of question marks entering this Packers season, and you know, no Devontae Adams for the first time in forever, you know, and when you think back, Rodgers has always had somebody he can trust and throw the ball to. And the fact that this year, the guy he had to throw the ball to more times than not was I don't want to necessarily say washed up, but an older, no longer in his prime Randall Cobb. I mean, that's where the problem's going to lie. And, you know, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are one of the best running back duos in the entire league. So they could bail out in certain situations, but the defense it underperformed. It had potential to be a top 5 defense coming into the league, and they played absolutely horrible. The defense did most of the time. So, you know, Rodgers was kind of, and then, you know, he hurts his thumb, and everything just kind of spiraled out of control. The fact that they were able to finish 8-9 and have a shot at the postseason is impressive enough. But there were so many question marks going into it, and I think that Rodgers handled it for the most part. I think he handled it well. He definitely could have handled it worse. But as far as his season went, it was a down year. But when you look at it, a lot of guys would love to have his down year. It's just the only reason we say it's a down year is because it's not a year we're used to seeing from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's been so dominant since he started playing 16 games, 17 games a year in 08. As far as what the future looks like for Green Bay and for Aaron Rodgers, there's in my mind for the Packers, the best thing to do right now is honestly to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And as much as it pains me to say that, I just think that it's just proof because Jordan Love has been sitting for 3 years. How many years did Aaron Rodgers sit? 3 years behind another one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Brett Favre. You have to give Love his opportunity. I think at this point, I think Rodgers, I think he's still happy in Green Bay, but I think you can tell just by the way he carries himself, by the way, some of the comments he's made, whether it be on the Pat McAfee show or whatever, which I love the Pat McAfee show, if anybody was wondering. But I think he kind of is in a state of mind where he'd be okay if he stuck around Green Bay, but I do think that he wants to be elsewhere. And I think that the Raiders are definitely the front runner. It was, a few hours ago, they officially released Derek Carr. So now he's a free agent. He's going to get plenty of attention, I'm sure. But I think that Rodgers to Vegas to reunite with Devontae Adams just makes a lot of sense. It's going to take a lot on Las Vegas's part. It's going to take probably multiple first round picks, a couple seconds, maybe in a couple middle round picks and stuff, plus probably a player, somebody. I don't know. I know that there's some people are saying Darren Waller could potentially be a part of the move. I don't really know how much of a realistic thought that is. I think that it's definitely possible, obviously, but I kind of feel like Waller will stay in Vegas. I don't know why, but I think that the Raiders picking up Aaron Rodgers just makes a lot of sense. I know we've been hearing that the Jets are potentially interested. I just don't think the Jets have enough to offer at the end of the day. And there was I believe it was Schefter posted it earlier today. It may not have been him, but I believe it was him, that the Jets are in on Ryan Tannehill, who obviously he's not going to be a Titan next year. That's not going to happen. They're going to move on to Malik Willis. So I think that that's more likely. And I think the Colts are a long shot to landing, but like I said, long shot. So, but it just, to me, we heard Brady was going to go to the Raiders, and obviously he didn't. He retired. So I think that Rodgers just makes the most sense. I think they got the most to offer. For him to get to reunite with Devontae Adams, that's the best chance Rodgers has at winning another Super Bowl. That's the best chance the Raiders have at winning the Super Bowl. I just think that that's the one that makes the most sense. I think that, I'll forever be grateful for the many years that I've been privileged enough to watch Aaron Rodgers do what he does. He was doing just some of the most crazy things before Mahomes came along. A lot of people talked about Aaron Rodgers' way. They're now talking about Patrick Mahomes. I just think that that's showing how good Mahomes is going to be. And I'm very grateful for what I've seen out of Aaron Rodgers, but I think it's time that the Packers give somebody like Jordan Love a shot. And I think that the Raiders will do, I honestly think they'll do just about anything they can to better that team, because they're going to be competing with the Chiefs out there in the West, and they're going to be competing with the Chargers, who are, even though their season ended in a disappointing way, they're still a solid team. And you never know now that Sean Payton's going to be coaching in Denver. Denver, again, this AFC West has potential to be very stacked, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I think that's just the best decision to make for Vegas and for the Packers side of it as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. as a Packers fan, I would probably be ready to move on from Rodgers. But another thing I look at too is you can move on from him and, in my opinion, still compete to get into the playoffs. It's a very winnable division. I know the Lions kind of came up late, but and then the Vikings obviously kind of showed that their true selves by the end of the year, but still a very winnable decision. Green Bay, just in old NFL franchise that's known for winning. I don't think, like you said, if the defense comes out and performs, I don't think you're necessarily rebuilding. I think you're just kind of moving on. And then obviously you're going to have to develop some of those young guys that you have who obviously showed that they have true upside. I mean, Christian Watson by the end of the year was showing that, hey, he can play. I don't know about, is it Romeo Dobbs?
Yes, Dobbs.
He showed flashes for sure too. You still have Aaron Jones and Dillon. So, I mean, you can move off Rodgers, in my opinion, still compete and, let Jordan Love develop.
Absolutely. I think you hit it on. I think you hit the nail on the head there. That's extreme because everybody's afraid you got to rebuild if you move on from Rodgers. But I think Love is a capable guy. Like I said, he's been sitting behind Rodgers for 3 years now. And the one start he had against Kansas City last season, it's not like he did terrible. Like, I mean, he kept his team in it and he didn't make poor decisions. I think a lot of it was jitters, first start jitters, obviously, but I think he's a very capable quarterback to continue to lead that team. Like you said, winnable division. We know the Bears probably aren't going to do anything for a while. As impressive as Justin Fields is, we know they won't do anything. Detroit really like what Dan Campbell's doing out in Detroit. And then, like you said, the Vikings, obviously with Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen, they're probably going to be around as one of the top teams in the NFC for a while, but still a very winnable division if you can find a way to move on and if your defense performs and if you can get those young guys like Watson, like Dobbs, and potentially whoever you draft or trade for or sign, they can step up. I think that this is still a very capable team to win the division and potentially go on a Super Bowl run, maybe not next year, but a couple years down the road.
For sure. One thing I wanted to add too is, I put myself in the same category, and it's when you said that, everyone thinks that, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers was, kind of trash or, let his team down this year or whatever. But I mean, they were right there, down to literally the last minute, the last, little bit to make the playoffs. And there was a lot of issues and things that went on in Green Bay this year that were tough for anyone. So anyway, I think that's a good point. He's obviously, in my opinion, still capable of being a top tier Super Bowl type quarterback. And I think so. Anyway, I fully agree with what you said. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that was a really good, in my opinion, really good point as well, that they were, still right there to be a playoff team. So anyway, we have a few minutes here. Just want really, really quick. Obviously, spring training is just getting started. Some early reports coming out, things like that here, and especially over the next couple of weeks, there will be. But just give us a quick prediction on the Cardinal season. And obviously, it's very early. A lot of injuries and things can happen, but based on who we've signed, and let's just say everyone stays, fairly healthy throughout the year. Just give us your take as a Cardinals fan, one to another. Actually, all three of us. So,
Right.
Just give us your take on the season real quick, and then we'll call it quits.
All right. So first of all, John Mozeliak was just signed to a 2-year extension. I think it was either last night or today. I'm a Mo hater. I don't care for John Mozeliak. I know he's pulled off some of the best trades, but he does nothing during the offseason to help us, hardly ever. He signed Wilson Contreras. Obviously, that's a huge sign to replace in air quotes because it's very difficult to replace Yadier Molina. But he doesn't do. I mean, what else did he do? Literally nothing. All in all, though, I still think that this is the Cardinals division. It's the NL Central is probably the worst division in baseball this year. You could make the case that the AL Central is equally as bad, but I just think the NL Central is a little worse. Milwaukee, again, even though the Cubs have made quite a few moves this offseason, I think that Milwaukee is still the biggest threat to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are probably going to win another 95-ish games, and Milwaukee's going to be in the mid-80s probably win total. So I think that the Cardinals are going to win the division again, but can they win the World Series? The answer is yes, but like you alluded to, everybody's got to stay healthy, and we know that there's been a few guys that have dealt with injury. Flaherty was out most of last season and even missed a good chunk of 2021 with injuries. We got to make sure that he's healthy and ready to go. You got to make sure that O'Neal can stay healthy and bounce back and perform like he did in 2021. I mean, it goes all the way around. You got to, and there's a lot of questions about how is Oliver Marmol going to, how's he going to answer certain questions as to who's going to be your everyday second baseman? What role does Paul Leon have on the team, if he even has a role? What's the rotation going to look like? I think there's like 6 guys competing for a spot, and there's only 5 rotation spots. I mean, I guess you could do a 6-man rotation. I believe it was Terry Collins did it with the Mets a few years back when he had Syndergaard and DeGrom and a few other guys in there whose names I'm forgetting. But yeah, I guess you could do a 6-man rotation, but it's just not traditional. We always see a 5-man rotation, and you're not going to keep Adam Wainwright out of that rotation. Okay, he's going to be in there. He's, even at his age, is still one of the most consistent pitchers, and honestly, on paper, one of the best pitchers in baseball, even though he doesn't always necessarily get that recognition. But you got him. If Flaherty can stay healthy, he'll be out there. Michaelis is another guy. You got Jordan Montgomery. The rotation has got to be, you got to answer that question: who gets that 5th spot? In my mind, he can't go to Dakota Hudson after the year he had last year. You just can't give it to Dakota Hudson. Your bullpen, you got Ryan Helsley and Giovanni Gallegos coming out of the back of it. Can Jordan Hicks, another guy, needs to stay healthy? Can he stay healthy, and can he be consistent when he's healthy? Can Genesis Cabrera keep his attitude in check? We know he had some attitude problems towards last year. Can he keep his attitude in check, and can he pitch consistently? The pitching is, for me, the biggest problem for St. Louis, and maybe problem isn't the correct word, but you have to make sure that you answer the questions across the pitching staff, starting with the rotation and working your way into the bullpen. You just have to, because the lineup, I mean, reigning National League MVP Paul Goldschmidt, MVP finalist Nolan Arenado. You're going to have, hopefully, O'Neal stays healthy and does what he did in 2021. Nootbaar is primed for getting pretty much playing every day and getting a lot of at bats. And we know that when Nootbaar gets hot, he stays hot. Carlson is a guy that he's going to be at least an average hitter, you'd have to think. Edmund probably an average hitter with some scary pop added in there. And Brendan Donovan, I think, is the guy that's going to get a lot of time at second base. And he had a fantastic year. I mean, Rookie of the Year finalist. He batted, I want to say it was around 290 to 300, somewhere in there last year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know it was somewhere in there. He was. That's
funny. And another fact on him is, he never struck out. He always put the ball in play.
Absolutely.
So that's huge.
Absolutely. You got to, and I mean, and Donnie's a great just overall athlete. I know a lot of people are probably saying, well, Nolan Gorman, simply because he can hit the ball a long ways, but Gorman's nowhere near as strong defensively. He doesn't bat as well average wise. The only difference he has is the power aspect, and you got to figure out where he's going to plug into the lineup. Obviously, there's the DH option, so maybe he plugs in there since he struggles a little bit defensively. But then you got to think Juan Yepes. Does Jordan Walker get a spot on the opening day roster, which I think he should? Does he get? I mean, the questions just they don't stop coming, and Ollie Marmol is going to have to answer all of those by opening day. If he's going to want this team to perform consistently. I don't know what it is about the end of June into the All-Star break, but the Cardinals seem to slump there, and that's a problem. Because in this league, when you start to slump, other teams could go on a tear, and that could make you battle for a wild card spot rather than your division spot. So I think St. Louis, without having Yachty there and without having Albert there, it's going to be such it's going to be a very strange season, probably a little bit of an emotional season for the diehard fans like me and like you guys, because I don't have a Cardinal memory in it that doesn't have Yadi or Molina, so it's going to be difficult. But I think that Wilson Contreras is the guy to try and fill those shoes as best he can. I think he'll do a great job. He looks like he's having fun out there the first 2 days. I think that this is just I think this is the start of a new beginning, pretty much. At the same time, they're going to have to compete against some of the best teams in the league. That Padres team is stacked this year. The Dodgers are always stacked. You can't sleep on the Mets. Can't sleep on the Phillies. They're stacked this year. Picking up Trey Turner was huge. You got the Braves. I mean, pretty much everybody other than the National League Central is going to be just full of playoff teams. The Cardinals are going to have to really step up this year, and I think they have the ability to do that. It all just starts with the coaching staff answering questions that need to be answered, and I think that I have a lot of faith in Ollie, and I think he can do that. So,
yeah, and Cole, I know you're gonna have to hop off here pretty quick, but I agree with what you said. I think the biggest factor is not hitting that big slump, and the difference between making the wild card and the divisional round is huge for them, especially if they want to gain any momentum during those playoffs. So,
absolutely.
All right, Shaun. Well, we got a game we're going to tonight. We're going to the Oklahoma State-Kansas game tonight in Stillwater. So we're going to hit the road here. But anyway, really appreciate you coming on. Incredible breakdowns on all three topics. So we'll have to do it again here soon. And
for sure.
see you on everything.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you on now that you've already now that you've been on. You're going to have to be a returning guest, but we'll definitely have to get you for more Cardinals baseball talk when the season's rolling. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.